not just, it's not just being nasty. It's not just insulting each other. It is both of them now have, in the most vicious, profound way, attacked the essence of the other's character.
So recently, Dave Smith had a podcast where he talks about the recent Donald Trump and Elon Musk feud, the schism everyone's talking about on the internet right now. He gets into a little bit about who he thinks is more culpable, the ramifications of this, and what it means for the future of American politics. So let's watch and let's react. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel.
In the escalations of all these things. So then at this point now, Elon Musk has backed Rand Paul, backed Thomas Massie, opposed the bill, and encouraged people to call their congressmen to put pressure on them not to vote for the thing. Now, this is where Donald Trump really escalates the situation. And I got to say, I think this was a very poor decision by Donald Trump. I think that there is, again, in this world, there are allies that are powerful enough that you should not burn that bridge over something that, you know, you may not agree with, but was their right to do, is not unreasonable. I'm sorry, I'm just never going to get to a place where you'd say that somebody who bought a platform for you, I mean, he didn't buy the platform for you, but in effect, buying this platform opened it up for you to have a voice again, and your biggest supporters to have a voice again. Gave your campaign $300 million, has put his reputation behind you and risked his company, his reputation, perhaps his life to support you. That guy should be shown the respect of like, okay, we agree to disagree on this one.
Yeah, I got to agree with Dave here. Elon Musk is not an Elizabeth Warren in the eyes of the right who Trump can just drag through the mud. Everyone will love that. This coalition, many of which is represented by people that are not traditional Republicans, a lot of people that Elon brought in, not only through his influence, but his voter drives in Pennsylvania, using successful but unconventional methods like entering people into a lottery where they get $1 million if they register Republican. He did a lot for Trump. He gave him a lot of money. And for Trump to really drag him through the dirt over this represented the biggest first escalation in this, and what, in my estimation, in many accounts is untrue. There's no evidence that Elon Musk ever supported EV subsidies.
Let's go to the tape, because this is what Donald Trump said, and I really think this is where things headed south. Do we have that? Thanks, Natalie.
So we've done a great job. Elon knew that. Elon endorsed me very strongly. He actually went up in campaign for me. I think I would have won. Susie would say I would have won Pennsylvania easily anyway, even if the governor ran, the real governor, not the governor from Minnesota, he's a sick puppy, that guy. That poor guy, I feel sorry for him. But
that we can all agree on.
They made a bad choice with him. But if you pick Shapiro or anybody else, I spoke to him recently about his house being set on fire, which was terrible. But if they picked him, I would have won Pennsylvania. I won it by a lot. But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem, and he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars, and it really is unfair. We want to have cars of all types. Electric, we want to have electric, but we want to have a gasoline, combustion. We want to have different. We want to have hybrids. We want to have all. We want to be able to sell everything. And when that was cut, and Congress wanted to cut it, he became a little bit different, and I can understand that. But he knew every aspect of this bill. He knew it better than almost anybody, and he never had a problem until right after he left. And if you saw the statements he made about me, which I'm sure you can get very easily, it's very fresh on tape, he said the most beautiful things about me. And he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
All right. So, look, although Donald Trump might be saying this in a slightly diplomatic tone, I thought that was a major escalation. And what Donald Trump, first of all, you got to understand, the guy who, Like, really, when you think about it, Donald Trump's going to sit here. First of all, he's imputing the guy's integrity. He's blatantly saying, and this was as Donald Trump says in the tape there, Elon Musk had not taken personal shots at Donald Trump yet. But Donald Trump, that is a personal shot. He's saying, like, straight up, like, this guy's a liar. This guy has zero integrity. He's saying he doesn't really have a problem with the bill because of the reasons he's telling you he has a problem with the bill. He has a problem because it's not in his interest. It's not that he didn't get whatever provision about electrical vehicles that he wanted in the bill. Now, again, we don't know whether that's true or not. We don't know what someone's pure intentions are. This is like what I was saying at the beginning of the show. You don't even know your own intentions half the time. So, like, I'm not saying there's no possibility that this is correct. However, for Donald Trump to make this accusation, this is an attack, a very serious attack on someone's character.
Yeah, I mostly agree with Dave here. The one thing I would add, I think I mentioned it a little bit before, is that Elon Musk has a long track record of opposing EV credits going back multiple years. I've seen various, Twitter community notes on tweets that indicate this with direct sourced interviews where Elon Musk is flat out saying, like, I don't want EV credits. Now, could Dave be right? Is there a shred of possibility that this is true? I guess there is. We won't know until, I guess, more information would come out, if that even ever comes out, if it was more than just a discussion between individuals. But it really seems to be that most of the evidence on the side of this is that that isn't the reason why Elon opposed this bill. It's because it's a $5 trillion debt growth bill. It will continue to compound the lunacy that is federal spending by the uniparty, both on the Republican side and the Democratic side. One side, the Republicans now in party and now in power, always talk bad about spending when the Democrats were in power. And sometimes you see Democrats do the same thing. But when it all comes to shove, push to shove, both parties will spend ludicrous amounts of money. That's what it seems to be why Elon opposed this bill from most of the preponderance of the evidence.
And again, I've had this just with me this week. I've had a bunch of people because, before this happened, the big thing on Twitter was my debate on Piers Morgan the other day, and really not so much about me. It was more about Piers Morgan just being fed up with the Hasbro propaganda. But I got a bunch of people asking me, like, hey, Dave, is this new? Is Piers Morgan being genuine here? Has he really turned against the war, or did he just see which way the wind was blowing and he went this way? And like, people are asking me, like, I have no idea. I don't know what's in Piers Morgan's heart and soul. Why? Because I do a show? Like, I don't know. I have no idea. But how am I to move forward in the world? Am I going to suspect that everybody has some ulterior motivation? Or you have to a certain degree, kind of take people at their word. I don't know.
Yeah, mostly agree with Dave again here. And one thing I'll add too is, if Elon's qualm with this bill was lack of EV credits and he was self-interested about his future profit margins, it really seems like he could move the needle in that direction much easier by not being involved in government at all, by running his companies where, every minute he probably can make millions of dollars. Even if he tweets about Dogecoin or something like that on Twitter, it moves markets. We know what Elon says and does can generate a lot of money. He doesn't have to get entrenched in government with these EV schemes to do that. He seems to have become the richest person in the world. I know that distinction changes sometimes depending on what the Tesla stock is at the time, but he seems to have gotten in that position because he's really darn efficient at making money. And, being in this position where he was paid nothing and his attention is taken away from his companies to the degree that he's involved in it, seems to me to indicate, like, again, it doesn't seem like it was self-interest for the reason of this. Now, it could be false again, but most of the evidence aligns on that side. And yeah, Trump had the most major blows at the start of this thing.
Who knows what someone's true intentions are? Anyway, the point here is that Donald Trump is now, from his very large megaphone, blasting that Elon Musk is someone you can't trust. He claims to care about these issues, these principles, but he doesn't. He only really cares about his own bottom line. That's what Donald Trump was saying there. And then on top of that, he's going to turn around and say he's done so much for Elon Musk. Now, just imagine just forget even like the other stuff. Imagine just someone you gave $300 million to is telling you, I've done so much for you. I don't know. I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing how that makes sense. Donald Trump, what have you really done for Elon Musk? Elon Musk was, before he supported Donald Trump, a year ago today, Elon Musk was the richest man in the world.
Yeah.
He was doing pretty good already. What exactly has Donald Trump done for Elon Musk that's made his life so much better? It seems to me, now don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming Donald Trump for a bunch of liberals keying up Teslas or something like that. This is a choice that Elon Musk made, but it seems to be one that came with sacrifice. Now, Donald Trump, you could also certainly argue, could just be a rich, famous socialite having a nice time and instead decided to do this and is now dealing with a lot. But that wasn't Elon Musk. It's like he didn't deal with that because he supported Elon Musk. He dealt with that because he ran for president. Elon Musk dealt with his things because he supported Donald Trump. And so I don't think this was wise of Donald Trump to do. And again, like I said at the beginning, when you're playing on this level, you got to kind of be careful about how you talk about people, because then Elon Musk took this escalation from Donald Trump and then took it to DEFCON 10.
Yeah, absolutely right. And the thing about this is like, I thought Trump was an idiot during the campaign season last year when he started randomly dragging Taylor Swift on Truth Social, as if he even had to get into that and alienate potential voters that might actually favor him and like Taylor Swift. Believe it or not, they're probably worth some of them. But this is that to 100 degrees more. I mean, Elon Musk has so much more cultural influence than you could possibly imagine, and he was aligned with you. Again, this is not like dragging Elizabeth Warren and calling her a liar to the base of the supporters of Donald Trump, and I think this is going to have serious ramifications. A PR disaster for Trump in a way, I think, because it just didn't make sense for him to butt into this like that. And not to say that Musk didn't escalate. He clearly did escalate, as we'll probably see here, and Dave will explain. But that is true regardless of your feelings about Musk. You could think that Musk is the most evil technocrat in the world, but this was a lopsided relationship in which Musk gave far more to Donald Trump than Donald Trump gave to Elon Musk.
So Elon Musk, first of all, said that this was a lie. That Donald Trump had made the claim that he had seen the bill and he was on board with the bill, and it was only after the EV thing didn't come through, then he wasn't on board with it anymore. Elon Musk goes, that's a straight up lie. I never was aware of the bill. I never supported the bill. Then Elon Musk tweeted, and this was the one that caught my eye here. Hold on one second. I will pull it up right here. Okay. So then he posted, without me, Trump would have lost the election. Dems would control that. By the way, just to be clear, Elon Musk reply tweeted this to that video that we just watched. So he responded directly to what we just watched and said, without me, Trump would have lost the election. Dems would control the House, and the Republicans would have 51-49 majority in the Senate. Such ingratitude. Again, kind of hard to argue with what Elon Musk is saying here.
That's possibly true, but it'd be really hard to say that with such conviction and know like how the breakdowns would have happened hypothetically had Musk not thrown his support behind Trump. A lot of things were going against Kamala Harris, and she was a disastrous candidate to begin with. But I think there's no doubt. I mean, his drives were intense in Pennsylvania especially, and many of the swing states where he did a lot of fundraising tactics and get out the vote, register for Republican. So it's hard to say that that might not be possibly true, but it's also hard to be, very strong in conviction like that would be the margin of the Senate also. I think unless you're very, very deeply entrenched in some of the stats and polls, which Musk may have been, but it's really hard to call that kind of thing.
But then he really took it to DEF CON when he
that'll be the understatement of the century.
He posted, "Time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, Donald Trump. Mark this post for the future. The truth will come out." All right. So obviously, Elon Musk decided to burn the bridge. I mean, I think that's pretty much it.
And this is why popcorn stocks are exploding all over the country. People can't get enough of this feud.
I don't think there's any coming back from that. Now, I would say that I thought this tweet made no sense and reflected poorly on Elon Musk in general. First of all, well, look, I'll say it like this. We already know what we know about Donald Trump and his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. We know what we know. We don't know beyond that. But there's no question that at the very least, they were friendly. There is a tape where Jeffrey Epstein refers to Donald Trump as his best friend. But we know that they partied together. Donald Trump is on record in one of the creepiest remarks that anyone's ever made about Jeffrey Epstein, where he's talking about how Jeffrey Epstein likes the ladies as much as anyone. And then he starts going off on a thing about how he likes them really young. Pretty goddamn creepy.
Yeah, no doubt. The two were extremely friendly, especially in the 90s. You know, many accounts have them being very close friends. And you guys know me, I'm a Trump critic, but what I'll say is that the documented evidence so far is that Trump and him didn't have much of a relationship at all after like the mid-2000s. And a lot of it seems to have stemmed over the fact that they were both bidders in very expensive real estate property in Florida that both of them wanted. And that seems to have soured the relationship. There's not really any evidence of them meeting after that. And again, not a Trump critic or not a Trump fan at all, or trying to cover for him, but that is what we know. So Dave is right, though, that they did have a relationship, and that might play into what evidence or information that the FBI has on Trump. It might be in some files.
We know he's been on his plane. We know they were friends. They partied together, like all this stuff. So for Elon Musk to come out and say Donald Trump is in the files wouldn't actually be new information. This wouldn't be anything we wouldn't expect. We'd expect Donald Trump's name to be mentioned in the files. The relevant question would be like, did Donald Trump commit any crimes? You know, like how involved was Donald Trump? And Elon Musk doesn't exactly say that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is true. And I have to check myself because in my video yesterday, I had said that, well, this might be a gambit to get Trump to finally release the Epstein files and information that the DOJ and the FBI had on this investigation, because now if he doesn't, it looks like he's in the files. But Dave is totally right. Just being in the files wouldn't be enough to substantiate guilt in criminal practices, including sex trafficking. So it really is kind of irrelevant in comparison as to whether your name shows up in the files or if there's information that implies that you were involved in criminal activity as part of Maxwell and Epstein's sex ring. So Dave's totally right here. I have to check myself on that too. But if nothing else, it's totally insinuating that Trump might be culpable of crimes by saying it this way. So, that's where we're at.
But he does say he's in the files, and that's the reason why the files haven't come out, which is, again, possibly true. We don't know. The problem is that to come out and say that now, because, he took some shots at you, which, by the way, again, I blame Donald Trump for that. Donald Trump was out of line, and he's the one who burnt that bridge, in my opinion. But it just doesn't reflect great on Elon Musk to be like, yes, I knew about this the whole time and was as many people, I'm far from the only one who pointed this out on Twitter, but are you saying if you had gotten spending cuts, then that would have been okay. Like, so you knew Donald Trump was implicated in the Epstein thing, but you were not going to say anything about that but it was then when he did that and had a reckless fiscal policy that was too far. See, there's just no way that this reflects good on Elon Musk. But regardless of any of that, here we are.
Yeah, that's right. It's a point that a few people have made because it really calls into question what your motives would be if it's something that you're hiding for the potential benefit of government cuts. What does that say about you? On the other hand, there does seem to be a lot of spite built into this decision. I'm checking my own opinion to some extent from yesterday on it when I chimed in. But yeah, again, complete difference as to what there is in terms of if your name's in the file versus if you're implicated in criminal activity. And Elon Musk doesn't specify, he leaves it ambiguous in many ways.
I don't, I've seen some people online saying that maybe Donald Trump and Elon Musk can work this out or something like that. To me, these type of comments, I just don't think there's any coming back from that. I just don't think so. And that, is it is what it is. Okay. This is this is about as nasty and as it's not just being nasty. It's not just insulting each other. It is both of them now have, in the most vicious, profound way, attacked the essence of the other's character. Like you've told your people that this guy is a fucking piece of shit liar. Both of them. Donald Trump has told his people now that Elon Musk is fucking lying to you. He doesn't give a shit about government spending. He doesn't care about any of the things he claims to. He was just trying to get rich from government contracts for electric vehicles. He's a fraud. That's Donald Trump's allegation. And Elon Musk's allegation is that Donald Trump is keeping secret the details of a giant pedophile ring, with like the most heinous crimes committed by at the highest levels of American society for his own self-interest, because he thinks it would look bad and maybe even criminally implicate Donald Trump. I mean, I don't know. He doesn't say it, but there's no way you could read that and not like take that as an implication. I don't know how you get from there back to a healthy working relationship. I would venture to say this is done. Maybe I could be wrong. Who knows? Crazier things, I guess, have happened. But I think it's pretty reasonable to say I don't think they're going to be fixing this relationship.
Yeah, I have to largely agree with Dave here, especially because in the time since Dave released this episode and this feud really ramped up to the maximum degree, Elon's even talking about creating a third party, the America Party, to try to deal with these things and actually be fiscal hawks with fiscal sanity, because the implication is you can't rely on Republicans to do that. It's not even an implication. It's just the flat out truth at this point. And that's what this shows. It shows that even with the most political pressure on your side, the biggest cult of personality, the top influencer, cultural mover in the world, possibly the richest man in the world behind it, you can't change Washington's spending from the inside. That's what this episode proves. The Republicans don't do it, even though they talk about it endlessly, even though they slam the Democrats when they do it endlessly. They get into Washington, and Trump decides to drag people that really do care about this issue, like Thomas Massie and Rand Paul, over the coals over it, and just say, hey, they vote with the Democrats anyways. It's crazy what you can get away with compared to how you campaign in Washington. And if I was Musk, I'd be looking at this and say, hey, Washington, D.C. is a lost cause. We need to oppose government at the local level through nullification campaigns and push back at the power that the swamp has at a central level. I think that's where more headway could be made than trying to bring fiscal sanity to Washington, D.C. And don't get me wrong, part of this interested me, especially because of Elon's megaphone and how much information would be blasted out there in regard to pork spending. He can still do that while not being involved in DOGE. spreading the words of Ron Paul and Milton Friedman and Thomas Sowell and all the fiscal sanity content that he's blasted out to the world, which is so invaluable. He can still do that now. But I'm with Dave. I don't think this relationship is going to fix itself anytime soon. I'd be disengaged from politics completely if I was Musk at this point. But he seems to still be, a few days removed from what was a big verbal fight with Trump. So we'll have to see where this goes. But I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. Who do you think is more culpable in this feud? Who has the higher ground, if you think anyone does? And do you think this relationship is in any way reparable? Let me know down below. And until I see you guys next time, no more war, no more debt, no more inflation, and no more empire. Peace out, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.